Okay, the latest Marist poll, we went into three more states in the growing list. We've interviewed folks in Ohio, Texas, and Florida, and they have a combined electoral college, three states of 87 electoral votes, so they're really big. However, they're also pretty much lopsided in terms of the support, with Florida being the closest of the three between Trump and Harris at a difference of 4 points. So that one's remotely competitive. The others, Ohio at 6 and Texas at 7, about what you would expect, and nothing to write home about at this point, and are likely to play out where they are, unless we see some unusual developments. Now, one of the things we did see, and I'm going to talk about the Senate races in a second, but one of the things we did see in looking at all these states that we've done is that the candidate who stands for change, Trump tends to have an advantage there, but it's close in states that are more swing states and wider in states that haven't been competitive. So when we looked at the two states of Ohio and Texas, for example, that's where the gap in terms of who represents change is the widest. So when the candidates go toe to toe, the change element seems to get muted a little bit between Trump and Harris. It's interesting to watch it with an electorate that's pretty dissatisfied with things generally. So then we went into these three states primarily to look at how the three Senate races are shaping up, because if the Democrats lose, let's say, West Virginia and Montana, which is not a surprising proposition, then they have to find a state that they're going to win, assuming that they can hold on to Ohio, where Sherrod Brown is the Democratic incumbent. And right now we're showing him with a razor-thin advantage, 50 to 48. Nothing to write home about in this one either. It's very close, could go either way. It's very tough for him because the head of the ticket is trailing by 6 points, Harris against Trump. So he needs people, 7-8%, who vote for Donald Trump on the Republican line and then go over onto the Democratic line and vote for Sherrod Brown. So we'll see how that plays out. That's his formula for success. In Texas, where Senator Cruz and Senator Scott in Florida are both running for re-election as Republicans, the races are close in Florida, more so than in Texas. In Florida, the Democrat Murkirso Powell has 48 against 50. That's a close race, and we're going to see a lot of money going into that state before this is done. In Texas, all red running against Cruz, 5-point difference there, 46 to 51. So Cruz with an advantage, but it's not overwhelming. Couple points on those two races. First of all, the undecided for Allred and Murkirso Powell, the two Democrats in Texas and Florida, they're not that well known. They still lack a real definition at this point. One has a 25%, the other 40% don't know much about them to rate. How that turns out, whether they can convince people that they're okay or not, if the Republican can convince them that there should be more detractors than supporters, then the races stay where they are right now, advantage Republicans. If those two Democrats are able, however, to convince the folks who are on the fence that they're really valuable and possibly electable for a national reason, maybe beyond just what the state is, as part of whether the Democrats hold the majority or the Republicans can capture it, then that becomes a different equation. So those are states that are going to, especially Florida, both for president and Senate, is probably going to get a lot more attention before this day is over.